I can't even remember how many takes it's been. It's probably takes 6, maybe 7. But today's been a pretty rough day for me. My daughter's pregnancy had to be terminated, so it's been very tough. Uh, yeah, so very, very tough day. Plus, like I say, the allergies are just through the roof, through the roof. But the show must go on, so I apologize for all this above. You can see my eyes are getting red. Uh, we had dogs downstairs. I talked about this before, and it's really tough for me to do this with that. We are going to move everything upstairs. It's going to be a little better, less dust, less allergies. But what can I say? Till I have the surgery, it's going to be really, really a long. It's going to be a long haul for me. It is every day. It's like torture. I would not actually want this, wish this on my worst enemy. It's been a pretty big deal with the polyps and the, you know, all that pressure and all this that goes on every day. But the show must go on. So we have 100 viewers. Thank you guys, every one of you guys. You're awesome. Thank you very, 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 very much. Let's see if we get to 1,000. Let's see how many people would make upset. Let's see how many of the people on the extreme left that work for the Empire decide to jump ship and say, hey, yeah, I'm not rooting for the Empire through battles or Star Wars. I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, I know Stormtroopers. I wish that Luke Skywalker would lose against those Stormtroopers because the Empire is number one. No, the Empire is not number one. The Empire is what we have. It's a global cabal. That is the Empire. If you're voting for this group, and you're like, oh, they trust in everything they say and want this cause and that cause and get caught up in all that, you're actually working for the Empire. Stormtroopers don't have to break down your door. Pew, 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 at you. You're Luke Skywalker, nobody hit nothing. To be a part of the Empire. The Empire needs you dancing. Remember that. The more you dance and sway the symphony of destruction, like Megadeth said, the more you're working for the Empire. They need you to cause chaos and have just these extremist views to fight amongst each other. The reason for this. That's how people gain control over the masses. Cause consistent chaos. Perennial war. No better way to keep the public dancing than a war. Or a catastrophe that we cannot seem to get out of. Every time you turn around, there's a massive news break catastrophe. It's mind-boggling. They've been allowed to do this to all of us. And if people sit back and say, oh, no, that's not real, I'd say, really? Really? Watch what's going through when something big happens. Okay? This entire Brandon administration is a dumpster fire, and he's trying to push the dumpster fire into the inferno they created in the background, which is going to be the global supply shortages, food shortages, starvation, energy crisis across the planet, people actually freezing to death, World War III, nuclear possible war, which we're already on the very, very brink of. This isn't even a dumpster fire. That's what keeps you looking in that direction. Oh, look, that dumpster's on fire, but behind that, the entire place is on fire. The entire area is on fire. This is the truth. This isn't Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and all the January 6th trial and Trump's the worst thing that ever happened in the world. It's the truth. People are struggling. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Sick. People are sick all over. 14% of the U.S. GDP is the medical industry. Okay? Gross domestic product is medical. That shows your population is sick. Who's in control? Who's in control, right? 14% of the world's largest economy is healthcare and medical. Big pharma. A pill for this, a pill for this, a pill for that, a pill for that, a pill for this. Why they steal all the money? And those that just keep dancing just haven't got it. You have to decide where you're going to be in life, what side you're going to be on. You have to. The days of being on the fence and saying, well, I'm just something that's on the, I just don't care either way. The news gets maybe 0.001% of the attention somebody on TikTok drinking toilet water gets, or taking a Tide Pod challenge, or whatever other fad is out there. I'm the individual star of the world now on Instagram and TikTok. Meanwhile, they're robbing the bank. They've been doing it for a very long time. They're setting you all up for disaster. Just like, seen a big thing saying that InfoWars was right. Alex Jones was right. So I guess I get banned for that. I guess I get banned. That's fine. That's fine. You know, I sent whatever week or whatever they had me banned for. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I still want to be back in that again, but I said Alex Jones was right. That was actually, somebody had, I think, a banner of that. And yeah, he was pretty much right. He was pretty much right about the cabal that's taken over. Okay, let's get into some of the stuff. Let's talk about Canadian Prepper today. He talked about Russians are being told to go to their cabin in the woods for the next month. He got that out of somebody's, one of his friends in Russia sent him that. Said that they're telling their citizens of cities to leave. If that's true, it'll go right along with the actual scenario that's happening now. That would not be far-fetched. It could not be conspiracy, and it possibly is true. Which I would believe it. I would totally believe it. From our other videos talking about World War III. World War III is coming. G7 summit. Looks like they're hoping to meet Vladimir Putin there, which he probably wouldn't show himself there because he thinks they're a bunch of clowns, basically. He's not going to deal with these guys. He sent Lavrov, and Lavrov walked out. Said talks between us and the West has broken down, basically over. What kind of a president, what kind of a global leader, what kind of NATO leader would think this is a good thing? Like Jens Stoltenberg, that'd be it. Or the other guys I won't say that I see on these shows or these news breaks about they look like Nazi Germany. It looks like Heydrich whatever standing there going, Einstein size, we gotta do this. It's like, okay. Yeah, these guys are in charge. You guys let the Germans back in. Is it third time's the charm? If you don't learn by the first two world wars, maybe you'll get it right the third time. Right? Oh wait, we're on the brink. We're in World War III. Okay, yeah. Well, that's forgetting history and allowing it to repeat itself. Sure glad these guys are in charge. Let's see. So let's get on the Canadian cyber attack yesterday. People only say, oh, it could be us. It's not a cyber attack. Okay, let's put this in perspective. They rebooted their cellular whatever companies running all the debit cards, and magically everything went offline. Magically, like I said, just like the Japanese Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister, was shot in the back by some random guy that we don't even know. Yeah, you're in World War III. So the guys that just got basically possibly, no one's really admitting to the fact that possibly got hacked, possibly by Russia, was told by Germany that they need to return the Gazprom turbine back to the Russians that they have so they can pump fuel, energy into Europe. Yeah, Canada just said today they're going to return that turbine that's Russian. But yesterday, they had a major, basically, shutdown of their internet, their debit card systems, banking systems, cellular service. And today, just like clockwork, not in World War III, they decided to return this turbine. They're holding that Zelensky's throwing a tantrum over right now. Isn't it magical? Now, if you can't put two and two together like that, hey, you know what? I hear you, bro. I do. I get it. Ignorance is bliss. We've all been there. We have. But eventually, the truth comes out. And you can't deny the truth. You can say what you want, but it ain't. It's not going to change it. Facts cannot be changed. Fiction can be changed, not facts. Facts are, yesterday they experienced possibly the largest cyber attack they've ever experienced. Today, they're returning Russia's turbine. Huh. Whatever. Lucky that's all it was. Okay. So, yeah, we talked about that. It was due with Gazprom. So, the Chechen leader, this was on Canadian Prepper 2 today. Chechen leader says he's going to keep fighting with the Chechens throughout Ukraine and onto Warsaw and Europe, all of Europe, if Vladimir Putin doesn't tell him to stop. Yeah, the Chechen leader, the leader of Chechnya that's actually fighting in Ukraine, said they're going to go to the next city, and they're going to keep fighting until Putin says stop. Where's the stop going to be? Alaska? Yeah, because they want Alaska back, because that was a big mistake by a former leader that sold it for pennies on the dollar. It was in 1950 something they became a state. Whoa, they're already talking about taking Alaska back, because if you're driving Russian across the any ocean, the U.S. is gonna seize your assets, drain your bank accounts, take the property, and keep it. So don't get caught driving dirty as a Russian outside of Russian territorial waters, or the U.S. will seize your assets. Isn't that just magical? Okay, so they said they're not going to stop till Germany. Isn't that just lovely? Just lovely. And Joe Biden and NATO, of course, are just that's it's all good, bro. It's all good. Don't worry about that. Just sweep that aside. Oh, they want to take Kiev. So that's probably gonna be next. So what are we gonna do then? What are we gonna do? Russia creates looks like true hell in eastern Ukraine is what one of their governors said. Russia's creating true hell in eastern Ukraine. Well, like Vladimir Putin said yesterday, day before yesterday, something like that. He said, we haven't really fully committed because that was just called an operation. Get in there, NATO. We'd like to fight. Looks like NATO wants to fight in Russia, so let's do it. So I watch these little clips that come across my YouTube channel, and it's showing Russians being just killed. You know, drone flies over them, drops a grenade, kills the Russians below. Russian ambushing Russians, killing them. That's those were American soldiers in Afghanistan. What would we have done? YouTube. You think about this. Okay? Wars will be won by a certain group. The East, the West, whoever wins this war. And those that do stuff like this will pay. So just be careful. Censor across the board. I don't want to see Russians getting blown up. Russians don't want to see Russians getting blown up. It's inhumane. It needs to be stopped. So let's worry about fake misinformation, right? Not that someone's child being blown up. They joined the military for a better life like my two sons have done. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. All of them. Both greats. Both grandfathers, too, by the way. All joined the U.S. military. Okay, all fought in your wars. Can't believe it. Just I see it all the time. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Looks like one of their city council members of Moscow got jailed for 7 years for bringing up his discontent with the war. Russia's throwing people away for 7 years. Yeah. You guys think that America's a bad place, right? You want to censor disinformation, put people in jail, get the sneaky Walmart Trump supporters, lock them all up, get the anti-whatever, blah, blah, blah people, lock them all up, like we heard last January. Russia doesn't care. They'll put you away for 7 years for saying the wrong thing. Same thing with China. China will you'll disappear. The world's a lot more dangerous, you guys think. But Europe, Europe's on the cusp of becoming a big hole by the most heavily thermally armed nuclear nation on planet Earth with advanced intercontinental ballistic missiles and short mid-range missiles, nuclear missiles. Wouldn't want to be living in Europe. There's nowhere to go. You guys have nowhere to go. And Joe Brandon and NATO is pushing for World War III. Hide in that basement for 2 years from a virus. Stay 6 feet away. 6 feet away. Bro, you ain't got a mask on. You're killing all of us at Starbucks. Killing us all. Nuclear war, though, you got this, right? Got this one. The hypocrisy is just, it's flabbergasting. It's awe-inspiring how people do this. Literally, awe-inspiring. You hid from a virus for 2 years. And yet, nuclear war. Global food shortages. a cataclysmic energy crisis. And Joe Brandon and this dumpster fire of an administration, along with the cataclysmic, apocalyptic, what do you say? Actually, it'd be apocalypse. That's called the knowing. Armageddon in the background fire called Europe. Well, hey, you got this. It's all you. You did good. Now stand tall, because you don't have a 0.01% chance of dying. You're more like 50% within the first 30 days, maybe higher. That's called thermonuclear war. We used to know what this meant before all of this garbage. Okay, energy's running out across the globe. Imagine that, guys. Running out, like I talked about the oil additives. They're running out. That lube, all the stuff I do for a living. I work lubing and fueling vehicles or heavy equipment. All that stuff's short supply. It's all coming to a head. Energy crisis, a shortage. Sri Lanka's in chaos, which half you guys know what Sri Lanka was. It's like Ukraine a few years ago. But yeah, there's shortages all over. Somalia, there's riots and all kinds of crazy stuff happening. This is the norm. People are going to run out of food. They run out of fuel. Come September, October, this world is going to learn what it's like in reality, not in a box created by the internet. Reality comes to knock at the door. You better answer it. Okay, on to good news. Democrats are worried about Biden's age and his mental cognitive skills at this point. They're starting to wonder after his July 4th speech where he called something about America as the greatest Ron Burgundy teleprompter moment in history that a president's ever made on national television. After that, they're kind of like, God, we don't know if this guy is going to be good for the Democratic Party. He never was. It's called Lying Biden for a reason. Look it up in the 80s. You guys got to get this through your head. He doesn't care about climate change, any of your causes. He was called Lying Biden for a reason. You elected him as President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief during World War III. Yeah, that happened. Words mad bad, right? Those tweets are just, I don't know, Russia and Trump, they're together in bed somewhere. If we ever proved it, that didn't actually happen. It was all a lie. Whatever. Okay, New York, guys. Oh, this is great. So, the New York PD shot a man who was reportedly threatening to kill the governor, Kathy Hochul. So the New York governor was going to be shot by a guy, but the New York police got that defund the police, hate the police, shot that guy. You're in World War III. Imagine it was a random stranger, right? They'll sure be portrayed as one, I'd say, if I was trying to orchestrate some hits on certain people because I'm in World War III. This is how things work, along with cyber attacks and other stuff. Nothing is random. Nothing is random. You need to start paying attention. That's not disinformation. That's just saying, who do you work for, number two? Anybody ask a question? Or is that going to really be answered? A few $1 million wave somebody's face, they'll pretty much do anything, right? Just saying. You guys got to think about the Soviet era. Think about the Cold War, how this espionage, conspiracies, these groups worked in the dark to do exactly what we're seeing now. This is how this works. But it's just a thought. You can boil that amongst yourselves and think about what the possibility and probabilities are. Or you just say, anything that happens now, I'm not surprised. That's a page we should be on. Breaking. Our nuclear deterrents, the Minuteman missiles, have failed. Yeah, they did a test. And your aging thermonuclear warheads that are supposed to protect you from the most heavily armed, advanced nuclear country on the planet called Russia failed. If this isn't sobering, there is no super friends coming to save you. There are no fictional characters that rule this world. There's no empowerment that's going to save us. These are weapons that will be fired back against Russia in the event that Russia blows us off planet Earth, off the face of the Earth, which they're about ready to do. They talk about daily. Unfortunately, they have all the advanced weapons, while we've been robbed by the corporate shills called our representatives. Don't worry, though. The arms contractors got a bunch of money to blow everything up in Afghanistan. The Soviets just left 2 decades prior that they threw all their money into, too. But you don't have a nuclear deterrent anymore. I knew this before when Obama tested them. They sell bunkers. They sell missile silos. The highest bidder. Gutted from the inside. Guys, gutted. They've lied to all of us. Our nuclear systems are aging 50 years plus. And they're telling Russia, just like the Clintons and everybody else, punch those Russians. Kill them. Kill them all. Well, the Joe Brandon administration and all the other kleptocrat thefticons in Europe need to start thinking about the fact that there isn't even a deterrent to fire back against Russia. How does those Cheerios float in your bowl, right? But we got this in Super Friends, and I watched this lift. There's facts, and there's misinformation, and there is facts, real truth. That is, you don't have the system to defend yourself. Even to scare Russia. Even if it's smoke and facade as Russians are dying every single day in a battlefield that you are providing weapons with your tax dollars to kill their soldiers. Clapping every day for Ukraine. Sanction Russia. Take everything away from them. Cancel the culture. They're going to cancel you with a Satan II nuclear warhead called a Sarmat II. It's going to be here in less than 30 minutes. It could take out the state of Texas. Prove it. Where does that settle in? This whole new, brave new world. You got to be brave to be here. This is what I've been talking about. You have to be brave to be in America and asleep at the wheel, sucking down pharmaceutical medications so you can exist post-pandemic, running people off the road with your little car because you think you're so privileged, when Russia has Sarmat 2 missiles pointed at you, that you're no more than a shadow on the wall. But Joe Brandon is willing to push this to World War III already. Any of you on the left, there is a responsibility that you bear to the destruction of planet Earth. Someone out there pumping their diesel in the middle of the road, shooting out carbon, does not matter anymore. Going and saying you're saving the environment while you build your $1 million houses on the hills and race across everything with your little cars and climb all over everything because you got to see the nature, which I witness firsthand every day of my life now because we've been invaded by people screaming, save the planet, while they're ruining it. Matters not. Because after a thermonuclear war, there won't be nothing left of this place. Nothing. And that is the Biden administration. That is Lindsey Graham of the Republicans. Not just throwing it all on the Bidens, it's also the Republicans. You need to get them out of office. Get them out. Okay, so Democrats are hoping for the Roe versus Wade and gun control bumps their numbers in November. So they don't have to claim the dumpster fire and get voted out of office while they've already stole all the money. Yeah, Roe versus Wade and gun control, these shootings are helping the Democrats so they don't pay attention to everything else they screwed up. It's factual. I was on CNN. Where are we at, guys? You still allied with the left? The left save the planet stuff? You think save the planet when you're freezing to death? You think save the planet when your AC stops? Ooh, when a little circle of meat's going to cost you $30, about the size of a 50-cent piece. How about when your vegetables you can't afford to buy and eat? I guess food paste in the food line will be just as good, right? You got to save that environment so we blow it up with thermonuclear weapons because that's what this president is doing in NATO. Okay, let's move right along. Sky News, Biden's confusion and inept. He's confused and inept, and he went Ron Burgundy. Read from the teleprompter. Yep, Biden went Ron Burgundy. He said repeat. He said, he said repeat his line right there on national television. Full Ron Burgundy. That's your president. That is who you voted in during World War III. The man that can't hardly hold a sentence together and has to read a teleprompter. I don't usually read notes. Would I be a better president? Yes, because I'd call Vladimir Putin today and say, let's end this. Now, shall we? Let's return everything we stole. We sanctioned you. Everything back. See, let's start over again. We know you invaded Ukraine. We know what's happened in Ukraine since 2014. We know about the Clintons. We know about Victoria Nuland. Let's just reset this whole thing. The loss of tens of thousands of men is going to not compare to the loss of 2 billion people. Or the save the planet. Yeah, you don't have no reason for carbon taxes or electric cars until thermonuclear war is at zero. No reason for it. You're wasting your time. 22 million lost. Oh, this is great. So, during the pandemic, Tucker Carlson's talking about this. So, they shut the economy down. This virus, I can't say. And blankety blank out of a blank blank is a good possibility from the Intelligence, State Department, communities, blah, blah, that studied all this, that blank possibly did come from a blank. It's about 50%. How do you guys like that censoring, YouTube? Won't bring up that blank because I got banned for 2 weeks for saying the word V with a, starts with a V. Little bug thing that swims around and gets you sick. Anyway, 22 million people lost their jobs during the pandemic. 5 million disappeared. Yeah. So 22 million people returned back to work, which I think the number's a lot higher than that. That's a big lie, misconception, personally, because I see nobody working but the food service people. And the people had to keep things rolling, as far as food or fuel or goods. Everybody else was just off, driving around, pandemic in it. Lots of money was made by a lot of people. So 22 million jobs just disappeared, but 5 million workers supposedly didn't return back to the job force. That's the reason why there's problems. Where do those 5 million people go? Well, we have a massive opioid epidemic coming across the southern border. We have heroin, fentanyl, people dying left and right due to drug overdoses. That's severely underreported by mainstream media. One of the biggest crisis of our generations, not just one, of 2 generations, 3, 4. Opioid, heroin, meth all over America, just wiping out small towns, people dying all over the place. A lot of pharmaceutical companies, they started people off with Oxycontins. Hey, got an ache? Let's give you these new Oxycontins non-addictive pills brought to you by Purdue Pharma. And there we went. Especially like the Ozarks and places like that, the western United States and Montana, that suffered even more due to the opioid epidemic and meth and heroin and all the other great stuff that come across the southern border. And nobody really did anything but Donald Trump to try to stop the flow by building a wall. Look what you guys did to him. Who do you work for, number 2? So anyway, so where do those 5 million people go? Are they in the streets of California as bums, running around with tambourines, smoking pot? Good possibility. The needles on the ground you find, human feces everywhere, and people just living all over the streets like big hobo camps? Possibility. Oregon, Washington, yes, you absorbed a lot of those people, and they will never return to the workforce, but don't you worry, the southern border's open, and there are millions crossing every week. Probably every month. A million or so. 250,000 stopped in a month. I know that's factual. Yeah, so you guys figure that one out. Where did those 5 million people go? Where? When the COVID pandemic hit China, they turned their cell phones back on. Somebody tracked the data, said there was millions and millions of people missing then, too. What happened? Was there more deaths than what we recalled? I heard a report on, let's see, it was on Glenn Beck about insurance companies, life insurance companies had a record amount of applications for the insurance payouts to the tune of like 40% increase of working age people that died mysteriously just during the past couple years. That's every year, 40% increase. What are people dying of? What's happening, guys? What is happening? Mystery. I'm not blaming any kind of, the stuff that you get in your arm. I'm not blaming that. Say people are dying all over the place from what? What's really happening? Anyway, so that is. Oh yeah, I got to add this. So guess who the big winners were with the COVID pandemic. China and big tech, the two stellar worlds of really highly paid people. Basically, the Chinese government and the big tech industry that gave us all the remote workers are now building their apartments and duplexes and townhomes all over the West, flooding everything. I'm a remote worker. Look at me, remote work. My company doesn't want me back again because we're remote now. So we just frolic to the trees on high incomes. They just kind of displace all local population because they can't make the kind of money big tech can, because they got trillions of dollars of your tax dollars, future debt, handed to them. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Foreign countries, here you go, here you go. That's what they did during the pandemic. $10 trillion. I said it's $14 trillion before. Mark my words, it was $14 trillion. $10 trillion today was admitted by Tucker Carlson. It's $14 trillion. And they handed it out to Bezos and all their buddies. They all got it all. They own this place. They own you. I'm independent. I get to do what I want. Sure you do. Next time you open your mouth, what are you putting in it? Turn your gas, lights, drive your car, go to work. They own you. We've been slaves to the grind. They allowed us religion and family at one time, while our masters basked in all the wealth, created cataclysmic financial disasters to make more money. To make more money. They've driven, listen to the governor of California, pass all these laws. You guys think this is what he wants? Yeah, he's crazy. But the largest land deal in U.S. history since the Sooners of Oklahoma, when you took all the native land there, to the Dawes Act, the same type of things happened across the West. Florida even had the same thing there. Texas, land speculators, Blackwater, it was a BlackRock, not Blackwater, BlackRock, investment firms, kleptocrat, thefticons went into these places, bought up all the land prior, and they tell Newsom to pass some stupid law that drives more people out to buy their land. Wars are fought over land, you guys. It's what Manifest Destiny was. Go west, young man, find your fortune. As they stole Native Americans' land, broke treaties. They killed and slashed and killed over greed and land and resources. Now they're doing the same thing to you guys, to all of us. We say, but I'm this and I'm that. I'm this. You guys are nothing. The guys that have the money at the middle money guys, yeah, you're just kind of like the stepping ladder to them. They just like to step on your heads. When the markets crash, all those guys in that section just get crushed. I watched it in 2008. I watched my whole life. I'm so rich. Look at me with all my great stuff. Marriages fall apart. Everything is sold off. Economic crash. The big guys take all the money and they close the bank and laugh at you. Say, wow, wait for the next generation of suckers to come along. I hate to be so bright, but today's been a bad day for me. And I'm just glad you guys like to hear the truth. And that's what needs to be said out there. If I go viral, and one day 45 News Utah West States Media gets to actually be a company, and I can say, hey, what do I do for a living? It'd be great, because I'd be worse than Alex Jones. I'd be like Alex Jones on steroids. I tell everybody the truth. This is a dumpster fire. There's a blazing inferno in the background. And they're pushing this dumpster fire right into that. There's your news for the day. That's America and Europe in a nutshell. They are going to crash this place, laughing all the way to the bank. White people jump on board to save the world. Green New Deal. Oh, climate deniers. Swaying the symphony of destruction. Thanks for watching. Have a great day tomorrow.